Good evening. So I recently ran through The Dead Children's Playground by James Kaine. This is a ghost story set in a town called Huntsville in Alabama, and it's a town with a lot of not very good history, especially regarding children. Like, a lot of kids have died here, and there's a specific cemetery where many of them are buried. So there are plenty of ghost stories floating around about the spirits of those children who still play in one of the local playgrounds. But the main character's family are not aware of this. They've got enough on their plate to worry about as it is, since the younger daughter, Kylie, has only recently gone into remission from childhood kidney cancer. Like, the entire process of her diagnosis and treatment has put a huge strain on the family. Like, it's pretty easy to tell right away that all their relationships are kind of fraying and there's a lot of tension going on. And even on top of the tension from just making this move, which is also primarily happening because of Kylie, since the father needs medical insurance in case her illness comes back and they have to go back into treatment. So Kylie is one main character. The other main character is her older sister, Kayla. Like, Kayla in particular has been feeling very neglected, I guess, by her parents, since all their focus has been on her younger sister, which makes a lot of sense because of everything that Kaine was going through. But it's left Kayla feeling really out of sorts. Like, she's angry all the time, like she didn't make it into college, and her mom needles her about a lot of things, and she often feels like they don't love her anymore, I guess, because they have so little time and energy to spend on her, and it seems like they feel like she ought to be okay because she's like the healthy one, and it's bred a lot of resentment, which she kind of takes out on everyone around her. And at the same time, she's trying to figure out what to do then, since she's not entirely sure she's interested in college. In other words, I guess her life is a little bit of a mess and she doesn't really know where she's headed yet, or how to go about figuring things out. But this move promises to potentially be a new start for them. Kayla finds that maybe it's not going to be quite as hard to make friends as she thought, and Kylie is actually extremely excited since it's been a long time since she's been able to actually go to school. So now she's going to be able to at least experience some of what it's like to be like a quote-unquote normal kid. But things aren't quite what they seem. Like, early on, Kylie encounters a strange little girl, like around her own age, who invites her to play, and this is like her first exposure to what people call the Dead Children's Playground. Let's see. Well, it's a ghost story, so supernatural things start to happen, people start to fall sick. Kylie and Kayla each start to encounter like different supernatural related events, and things kind of spiral from there. And the story follows them as they try to figure out how to deal with it and how to prevent more kids in the town from dying. So let's see. Something that I liked. I appreciated how Kayla, there's a particular type of character in a lot of ghost stories who refuse to acknowledge anything supernatural, even when it beats them over the head, and that obstinance often causes more issues by delaying their ability to actually try to save themselves or the people around them. I appreciated how Kayla was not one of these people. Like, obviously she's not a believer, like she does take a bit of convincing, but she trusts her own senses, I guess, when she has these supernatural encounters. She doesn't sit around wasting time pretending that they aren't happening. Like, she's worried about her sister, she's worried about things that might happen with her family and so on, so she sets out to do what she can, I guess, to do the research and to test out different actions, whether or not she believes in them, to protect like herself and the people that she cares about. So that was definitely something that I appreciated. Something I did not like. I made the comment when I reviewed the story I read before this, like the high school romance one, that the writing was lively. I think this book for me was an example of writing that I did not find lively. Like it was, the tone in general was very grim throughout the entire story. There wasn't much humor, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of dialogue, even though people did talk and so on. But I think it felt like at least half of the talking was just people sniping at each other or arguing about things. And well, it did just, like I said, you can feel the tension with all the characters and the anxiety, and a lot of it has made most of them, people that you don't really want to spend time with, and just that kind of atmosphere, a kind of gray feeling, I guess, that persists throughout most of the book. And also a heads up that if you get to the epilogue, I would consider this kind of a tragedy, though I suppose since it's just the epilogue, and I think it was the kind of tragedy you could kind of see coming, it didn't necessarily make me not want to review the book at all, but just a heads up because I would want to know.